Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll be showcasing DVDs in my collection that for whatever reason I've kept over the years. This will be part 1 in a new series, so I hope you enjoy. The first film is the comic book adaptation American Splendor, based on the comic book series of the same name, written by Harvey P. Carr. This DVD was released by HBO and has never been upgraded to HD. I bought this DVD at Walgreens of all places, and it came with a mini comic book inside as well. It's weird since HBO owns the rights to it, and Warner Brothers owns HBO, that they never put this movie out again, or licensed it out to a boutique label. Same thing goes for the original Hitcher. HBO owns that movie as well, and it has never gotten a release since DVD. Anyway, this is a really good movie and worth watching. Check it out on Max or get this DVD. Next is a music biopic called Control. It centers around the life of Ian Curtis, the lead singer of Joy Division. This only got a DVD here in the States. I believe there is a Canadian Blu-ray though. This movie got picked up for distribution here by the Weinsteins, so I don't know who owns the rights to this film now. I'm sure at some point some label or company would put this out again. It's a bit of a hidden gem. It's directed by Anton Corbijn and shot in black and white. Sam Riley is great as Ian Curtis, and he really nails Ian's onstage mannerisms. I can see Criterion putting this out, so hopefully someday soon we'll get a Blu-ray of this. Next is a pretty big one, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. This did get a Blu-ray early on in the format's life, back in 2007 by Anchor Bay. That's the last time it would ever get released here in the States though. It did get a pretty awesome 4K by Second Sight over in the UK, and I never pulled the trigger on it because I was still holding out hope that someone here would put it out, which I'm starting to give up hope for. I bought this collector's edition off eBay years ago since the out-of-print Blu-ray was selling for way too much. It comes with 3 versions of the film, tons of bonus features, and a comic book adaptation written by Steve Niles, who also wrote 30 Days of Night. Even if some company does finally put out a new edition of this film here in the US, I don't think I could get rid of this. It's far too cool of a collector's edition, and these old Anchor Bay releases are starting to become pretty nostalgic. Next is another George Romero film, 1985's Day of the Dead. Now this does have a very accessible Blu-ray that Scream Factory released back in 2013, but I bought this DVD of theirs at an FYE that was going out of business. This is the only Scream Factory DVD collector's edition that I own, and since it came with the slipcover and I can reverse the artwork on the inside, is like the main reason that I bought it. I love the artwork that Nathan Thomas Milliner did, and the original poster is also pretty great. I'll probably upgrade this once it gets a 4K or some sort of new edition. I feel like it's inevitable at this point, since all Scream Factory does really is put out 4Ks of prior editions that they already released. Next is something I picked up recently, the 2006 adaptation of DOA, aka Dead or Alive. I had never seen this before, and I was somewhat familiar with the video game. I never played it, but all I knew was that it was a fighting game. I came across this at a flea market one day killing time before work. I checked to see if there was a Blu-ray, and it's out of print, and it's going, you guessed it, for a lot of money. Probably because this was also a movie distributed by the Weinsteins. I love that this was a DVD Blockbuster exclusive, and it still has the stickers on it, and comes in that chunky Blockbuster case. The movie itself is actually pretty entertaining, and far from the worst video game movie. Next we go from a movie that was produced by Paul W.S. Anderson to a movie that was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and it's arguably his best movie, although my favorite is definitely more. I got this at a flea market years ago simply because I liked the lenticular cover. I have since bought the Blu-ray collector's edition that Scream Factory put out a few years back. I've kept this DVD as a relic of when studios used to do cool packaging for their films. Now only the bigger studio films will get a cool exclusive, and everything else gets a standard release that never feels all that special. So you're better off waiting for the price to drop, or you try to hold strong and wait for a boutique label to pick up the rights to do a collector's edition of some sort. As for this movie, you can now get it on 4K from Paramount, or you can get the collector's edition from Scream Factory. Next is another video game adaptation, and not a particularly good one, that being Max Payne. This movie is actually pretty sentimental to me since I saw it at a pretty low point in my life, and after watching the movie in theaters, I then went back and played the first 2 games, which I would consider are masterpieces. They combine John Woo's style action with film noir narration, so you'd think I'd hate this movie for being such a piss-poor adaptation, but I actually have a soft spot for it. Some scenes are pretty well shot, in particular the Acer building shootout, and I think Wahlberg does an okay job in the titular role. He wouldn't be my first choice, but he's compelling enough. I once saw this DVD at an FYE back in the day, but it was far too expensive, and I kind of regret passing it up at the time. So years later, I searched for it on eBay and I found it. It's one of my favorite lenticular covers in my entire collection. Next is Thank You for Smoking, a movie that has never gotten a Blu-ray release, and it's unfortunately a Fox movie, so who knows if Disney will ever upgrade this movie to HD. That being said, this DVD is pretty cool, mainly for the slipcover, because it looks like a pack of cigarettes, and it has a die-cut circle in the middle to reveal Aaron Eckhart. This is a great movie, and it's very odd that it never got a Blu-ray. Fox was pretty good with putting out their catalog of films on Blu-ray, so I don't know how this one slipped through the cracks, especially when Jason Reitman went on to have a pretty strong career. Hopefully Disney smartens up one day and licenses this film out to a company that'll give this a proper physical release. Lastly is The Spirit, another movie that I have a soft spot for, despite recognizing all of its flaws. I bought this 2-disc special edition for 2 reasons. One being the regular DVD didn't come with any special features. Also, side note, I bought this back when it was released and I didn't have a Blu-ray player at the time. Second being the slipcover, I dug how it had the flap that opened up, and there's no Blu-ray edition that came with that slipcover too. Plus, I really dig that line, "I'm gonna kill you all kinds of dead." That's pretty badass. I doubt there will ever be a cooler release of this film. Maybe someday Lionsgate will put this out in a 4K steelbook, but this movie isn't very beloved outside of maybe me and a few other people. Plus, it also bombed at the box office, so those odds aren't very high. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this series. Thank you for watching, and have a movie time.